What is going on, guys? My name is Tim Ruswick, and today I hope you're ready for some real talk because I want to talk about a subject that people used to tell me about all the time. When I was growing up, I would show resistance to something. In high school, I had AP classes, but I had trouble doing the work, right? I had trouble actually doing the work. I didn't want to do the work. I wanted to make video games, or I wanted to play Yu-Gi-Oh. I wanted to do something. Didn't want to do the schoolwork, but I was very capable. Um, when I would talk to my mom and tell her like, "Hey, I don't want to do this thing, or I'm not sure about this," everybody would tell me the same thing. They would be like, "Tim, you're afraid of success." Afraid of success. I don't know what popularized that term. I don't know where that term came from. Probably should do some research into it at some point. But afraid of success. I always looked at it like I didn't understand it, but I started to believe it because everybody would tell me that all the time. And I remember after I moved to Los Angeles when I was 18, 19, I had my marketing company. I was working on stuff. Well, it wasn't quite my marketing company yet. At that point, it was just me figuring shit out. But I was working with the company on their marketing, building stuff on the side, building little technology demos and stuff. And I always had like startup ideas or website ideas or whatever. And I remember just thinking, like, if I put this out here and it gets 1,000 customers, then that's going to be all my free time, and it's going to be horrible, and I'm not going to know what to do. People are going to be mad at me. It's going to be crazy to like deal with all this, and then I'm not going to be able to keep it up, and everybody's going to hate me, and then we're going to lose business and get sued. And my mind would just go on these wild tangents. And then I started thinking, like, maybe that's the fear of success. Maybe that's what they mean by that. So I accepted it for a while. The reason why this came up was because I was reading through some of my old journals. I just had my brother mail me a box of some old stuff that was at my sister's house. And I had these old journals that I used to write in. And I wrote long, detailed things about why I was afraid of success. And I was reading those things, these recounting stories of being afraid of all this work, or be afraid of like so many customers and all this stuff. And that's when I realized I wasn't afraid of success. I was afraid of the work. I was afraid of the work. I didn't want to do the work, man. I didn't want to do the work that would come along with success. And I was afraid of the work. So none of that stuff got done. So now, like, looking back at this as someone that has put in work in multiple different places, like whether it was like marketing company or how much work it took to actually finish my first game, how much mental work, it wasn't a lot of time and effort to build the game. It was a lot of mental effort to overcome that barrier and actually finish that game. All the work it takes to make a video every day. Someone that puts in the work now, looking back at this, yeah, I was afraid of the work, man. And I don't know why. I don't know where it comes from. It probably has something to do with my family or my upbringing, fear of work. But I just wanted to share that because it's something I hear all the time still. You're afraid of success. You're afraid of success. No, you're not. You're afraid of the work that comes with success. So you need to get your ass off your ass and get to work. Like, seriously, there is no substitute for work. There's no substitute for like straight up effort. And I always tell people imperfect action is always better than anything that you can do. Just taking action. It's better than research. It's better than thinking about stuff. It's better than talking to people about stuff. Just doing the thing. Doesn't matter what it is. Doesn't matter where it's going. Doesn't matter if you do it wrong. Doesn't matter if you do it horribly. That imperfect action is better than doing anything else. Putting in the work is what gets you the result. Not thinking about it, not hoping for it, not planning for it, putting in the work, doing the thing. And we forget that sometimes. We think, like, oh, well, if I just knew marketing, maybe I could sell more stuff. Or if I was just better at game design, I could build a better game and then people would love it and PewDiePie would play it and everything would be okay. We have these thoughts where we lie to ourselves that we're missing some element, we're missing some piece of knowledge, we're missing something, and we have to go out and find it. And I hate to bring this up because that's probably why a lot of people watch my YouTube videos, is because they think that they're missing that thing that is going to take them to the next level. And unfortunately, it leads to a lot of procrastination. It leads to a lot of thinking rather than doing, or watching rather than doing. And as I talked about in videos before, it's some of those are false indicators of progress. Sometimes you feel like you're making progress by learning something or watching a YouTube video, but you're not actually making progress. You're not actually moving forward. There is no substitute for work. And if you are afraid of success, you might be afraid of the work. I know I was. I still am sometimes. Sometimes I'm like, you know what? I don't even want to take on that project because I know how much work it is. I think as you get older, you start to learn, you get better at estimating things, you get better at understanding your own capabilities, your strengths, your weaknesses, and you start to like be able to tell the difference of something you're going to get done and something you're not going to get done, something that's healthy for you, something that's not healthy for you, something that's like going to push you in the right direction, and something that's maybe going to hold you back or distract you. And a lot of people, they may gain that insight, but they still don't put in the work. So let me just say this. If you're out there and you haven't finished a game yet, if you've been working on this for months or years and you haven't finished a game yet, the only thing in between you and a finished game is the work. That's it. And if you're afraid of pushing something out there, if people tell you you're afraid of success, you're probably afraid of the work, like I was. Now, there are other fears, right? Like sometimes we're fear of rejection or fear of, who knows what. There are plenty of them. But a lot of times we just don't want to put in the work, man. And I know because I've been there. I've been there 1,000 times in 1,000 different ways with 1,000 different things. With startup companies, with relationships, with friendships, with so many different things. Sometimes I just don't want to put in the work. And I think it's important to like acknowledge that and just be honest with yourself about it. Don't lie to yourself and say you're afraid of success or, something's going to happen, or tell yourself these elaborate stories. They're just stories. If you're afraid of the work, admit that you're afraid of the work and then go do the work. That's how you get places. So I hope you found that useful. I know reading back in my journal was definitely useful for me, and seeing how my perspective has changed. Someone that used to be afraid of the work to someone that values the work so highly that they tend to do that before anything else. Definitely showed evolution as a person, which I always value, something I value highly here on the channel. But do you agree with me? Whether you agree or not, leave me a comment below, because I always love to hear you guys' opinions. I was really happy to hear the opinions, the mixed opinions in yesterday's video. It's always good to start a discussion. But until tomorrow, once again, I'm Tim Ruswick, and I'll see you guys then.